Yo, JD here, Limitless, and as you can see, we are back on F1 2021 as always. But in today's video, I think this might actually be the first time that I've ever gone against the 110 AI on F1 2021. And I used to do it a lot in the past, but to be honest, I was never really a fan of racing the AI, hence why I haven't really, well, pretty much have never done a career mode. I've always preferred playing against real players online. But today, since F1 is back with this season, I thought why not see how difficult this 110 AI is, as we are about to bump up to that right now. And a lot of people said that it's very, very difficult on this game. So we've decided to go in the Ferrari. We've actually set it to equal cars as well, which you might have noticed at the beginning, which means everyone's car is going to be the same pace. So it's just a little bit of a difference with the AI drivers. So let's get underway. So what we're going to do is we are going to start on the alternate strategy, the medium tyre, and we are going to let everyone pass. Since this is the 110 AI, we are going to be putting on a setup. This is a setup I actually used recently when I felt like I maybe should have won that race against these bought drivers around here if it wasn't for that last lap in ORL. So this is a very good circuit for me. Probably one of my favourite ones to drive. When this track first came out, it was a bit different. I wasn't really a huge fan, but after a while, once you get into a good rhythm, I think it is actually one of the best tracks to drive. So we are going to see what we can do here. So as we've got the 5 lights going out now, we're just going to let everyone pass, starting on these medium tyres, and let's see how difficult this 110 AI actually is. And we are about to see here is pretty much the reason why I don't really like racing against the AI for the first 3 to 4 minutes of this video. So coming through into here, see 110 AI seem to be quite good on the pace straight away, and we're still in last place. So I haven't actually made up any positions as of yet. And quite typically the AI love to go side by side. They are just obsessed with going side by side, it seems, and 2 teammates, or Giovinazzi and Schumacher, still going side by side, still going side by side, still going side by side, and they're still going side by side. They just absolutely love it. So I'm going to try and make my way through here, as we already have damage. So yeah, once you get damage, you just need to restart. Yeah, so we go for round 2. Let's see what we can do here. And yeah, another bit of damage once again. This is round 3. Another bit of damage. And now this is round 4. So we've made our way up to a P15 by lap 2. Bottas setting the fastest lap, 30.8. And we're going to try and overtake Mazepin down into here. So we're going to try and go on the outside. But yeah, another bit of damage. And yeah. And now this is going to be round 5. So had a plenty of restarts. And yeah, that one was just, yeah, pretty laughable in the end. But eventually we did actually get round to what we wanted to do, which was a clean race. So now we're going to stay on board for the entire race itself, like always. So we're just going to let all these cars go. And now, this was the best run that I did. And I haven't really watched anyone else's videos around here, so I don't know how difficult they feel this 110 AI is. I will be giving my thoughts at the end of this race, but right now we're just trying to navigate and just checking if we had any damage, but we don't have any damage at this point because it'd be very, very obvious that the understeer effect would be incredibly high at this moment in time. So now we're up into P18. And as I said at the start of this video, the performance of the cars is set to equal. So really the only difference in lap time is going to be based off the AI rating of the driver itself. So yeah, it should be quite close in terms of how the field is laid out. So let's see if we can get past these cars as much as possible. We've got a whole cluster of cars up ahead in this train, and this is a really big opportunity to try and make some overtakes. So just darting in and out of all these cars up to P15 now, and go take a nice wide line to get a good exit coming onto the straight. And with the 9.5 wings, we should be having some good straight line speed. So can we get all these cars going down to a straight line? We need to get all these cars to make it work. So go down the inside of Vettel, going pretty deep, but we managed to make it. So we got about, I don't know how many cars we got there in that last few sequence of corners, but it was quite a lot. I think it was about 6 cars in the end, and now we're up into P12, which is a pretty good start to the race. So now coming through into here, track limits are set to strict as well, and we do have the full damage set on, as you saw at the start of the video. So right here now, I'm just going to try and get within the DRS zone of Norris and Ocon up ahead. And please let me know after watching this video if you would be interested in watching myself do on my team. Because the more I did this race, the more I didn't actually mind racing against this AI. I think the AI is something that's very hard to program, and you know, there's so many variables to it. But you can see once again a classic side-by-side action. They just absolutely love going side by side. So we're going to try and get a good exit on Ocon here. Go be using the ERS here now. Hamilton does a 30.5. What lap time are we going to be doing? It's a 30.8, which is pretty good for the medium tyres. Norris goes defensive, so we just got to go around the outside, get the inside for turn 2. Make sure we squeeze him out here, just to tell him trying to hold it around there. And now we're up into the top 10 behind my teammate Carlos Sainz, who we are going to try and get within the DRS zone for the last sector. But that's actually our first warning of this race. 2 more of those and we will be suffering a 3-second time penalty. So coming through into this corner, probably my favourite corner on the track, where you just carry so much speed. And also this corner coming up here, this left-right, is a very tricky corner, but we absolutely nail it on that occasion. Now we're going to try and get within the DRS zone of our teammates. So the detection point is after this fast chicane coming up. So as we come through, taking a lot of speed here, and looked like I was outside it, but we somehow managed to get the DRS, which I will happily take all day, which means we should get another dose. But he's got very good straight line speed because he has the DRS on Gasly up ahead, and we actually don't get the DRS going down the home straight. Hamilton does or Fernando Alonso does a 30.0. Remember, it's on equal cars, which should make it a lot closer between the field. And we've also done a 30.0, but we are on the slower medium tyre. So the progress is actually going very well at this stage. Pace seems to be really good, as it was in the ORL race against eSport drivers on here. I felt like my race pace was incredibly strong at this track, and it definitely seems to be translating quite nicely against this 110 AI. So coming off the exit of here, we've got about 8 attempts to Carlos Sainz up ahead. And do we do this well? We actually missed the apex at time, so that is not what you want to do. But I think we're going to be more than comfortably be within the DRS zone of my teammate, and we've got a nice little buffer behind to Lando Norris, and you can see we're actually gaining time through here, so really taking that very nicely. And please let me know who you think is going to win this weekend. I feel Verstappen is going to be incredibly fast around the circuit, and I do plan to actually live stream the race as a watch along like I did for the qualifying last weekend, so make sure you join me for that. And league racing is back tomorrow as well for BRS at Portimao, which, as we were saying, now had a bit of a hairy moment going into this turn one. Felt like I was almost going to lose the car, so I was kind of driving it left to right just to try and regain a little bit of the control. But yeah, plenty of action to come this weekend, which I am really looking forward to, as now we're getting a little bit closer to our teammates, so still having to be able to overtake for 2 laps. And since all these cars are unequal, the leader isn't that far down the road like it would have been if it was on the 2021 performance settings. Let's see if we can do a good one through here this time. And we do, and almost a track limit there, but managed to just about get away with that. And right here, we are just going to take our time and try and recoup a little bit of our ERS. So we're in no particular rush to overtake our teammates, but also be mindful that we don't want the leaders to suddenly get away and then we're going to be stuck behind all these cars. So coming through into the last corner, really taking a lot of apex speed coming through into there. Using a bit of the ERS here now because we were thinking about actually overtaking our teammate. So we did purple last sector, so go down the inside here, but yeah, with this AI, as we were checking if we had damage there, thankfully, somehow we didn't have any damage. Like, if you hit them directly side on, as long as you protect your front wing, you usually don't get damaged. But yeah, with this AI, if you're not fully alongside, they will just turn in like you do not exist. So if you go and make a move, then make sure it's a very committed one. As what we're going to do here, we're going to try and go around the outside. Nope. Not on this occasion, so we're just going to slot in behind again. So that was a bit of a half-hearted attempt, which didn't really need to be done at this stage. So again, we're just going to slot in behind, but you can see there's quite a few cars getting together now, and you can't see it because my webcam is unfortunately blocking it, but the 2 Mercedes drivers are starting to get away. So I'm becoming a little bit more impatient, needing to get a little bit more of a move on in this race here. And you can see again, classic side-by-side with Gasly and Stroll up into here. So trying to get a really good exit, really hoping that a lot of these drivers will be pitting. And I thought Sainz was going to pit. I was going to pit myself, but then he kind of spooked me, so I decided to stay out. And now they're going side-by-side. So yeah, this isn't really helping our cause at all. It's going to be very easy to run into the back of my teammate here. And now let's see what we can do. So coming through into here, we're going to try and go down the inside of both of these drivers. And as I said, you have to hit them side on. And I think somehow, again, we have survived without having any damage there, which, yeah, is a miracle, which we're about to check again. So yeah, no damage at all. So now we're up into P8 behind Stroll, Ricardo Alonso, Verstappen, Perez, and then it's the 2 Mercedes drivers up ahead in this race. So I was hoping that most of these drivers would be pitting on this next lap, and so far it doesn't seem to be particularly bad. If I put it on performance settings, it would be even easier to actually overtake these cars if I use like the Red Bull or the Mercedes. So this was my attempt to actually make it even just that little bit harder, because I know there were certain tracks on last game where the AI was pretty impossible to beat. So if there are tracks like that and you enjoyed this video, then please let me know, and I will be giving those a go in the future as well, as they slow down very, very quickly here. So now we're up into P4. Looks like, I think it's Bottas who has stayed out in here, and we're going to try and get past these cars as quick as possible. So using the ERS once again, going down the inside of the car, making a very committed move. Thankfully leaves the door open. You can see the gap to the Mercedes, who were right next to each other on track, was about 4.3 seconds. So we need to really slowly start to eke down that gap, but we do have the much faster soft tyres coming as well. And around this track, I think the alternate strategy is quite OP, but for league racing, I normally don't advise it. Mainly because if a safety car comes out early, then you're pretty much screwed if you're starting on the medium tyre. And then if you go on the softs, you can just go mediums to the end pretty comfortably. But right here now, we're just going to wait until after the chicane to overtake Sergio Perez. So we get a good exit coming off here. We've actually managed to close the gap down to Bottas. And with this, yeah, the AI have no idea where they want to go. You can see a little bit of a shake of the head from myself as Perez is thinking about going down my inside once again. So it can be quite unpredictable, this AI. But now we are actually going to box ourselves. Managing to do that quite nicely. And now, let's see how much pace we actually have on these soft tyres. So quite a clean entry into the pit lane. Quite a smooth exit as well. And let's see where everyone else is. So coming out of here, have we managed to actually stay ahead of these drivers? And I think the answer is yes. So we've actually managed to close that gap quite drastically to the Mercedes drivers, whilst managing to overcut the cars behind us of the Red Bulls. And yeah, I can't think of any other cars at the moment, but yeah, we're in a very, very good spot. And we managed to not get the DRS here, but I don't think that really matters too much at this stage of the race. So coming out of here, we have about 80% of the ERS available as well. So managing to navigate this pretty nicely. And we're going to be more than comfortably within the DRS zone of Bottas. But the gap is about 1.9 seconds up to Hamilton. But we're going to have a double dose of this DRS to come. So really taking a lot of speed through into here. So this is the first DRS zone. And now we're going to get it on the exit of the last corner. You can just see how much that gap is coming down. It's come down by about 6 or 7 tenths alone just on that straight. So now we're going to use the ERS on the exit of this. I don't think Bottas is going to fight too hard at this one, although the AI are just crazy fast in a straight line. Hence why it's 110 AI, not 100, because I think the extra 10% is just something you cannot achieve in equal cars whatsoever. And now we are right behind Hamilton. And all it's going to be now is just a case of just waiting in his DRS zone. We do have, I think, 2 warnings in this race so far. So we're going to make sure we're a little bit careful there. So getting on the DRS zone here, he actually goes quite defensive. I'm going to go around the outside of this car, and he leaves the space. And the answer is yes, we actually are going to go around the outside. Use a little boost of the ERS just to get our car comfortably ahead. And that is the move done up into P1. However, the softs do start to go off fairly quickly around here. And this straight is pretty, well, this track, sorry, is pretty much just one massive straight. So we do have 2 DRS zones coming up. So Hamilton's managed to actually keep up quite nicely going through these sequence of corners, and you can just see the speed is just absolutely nuts that he has with the DRS zone here. So coming through into this, we're just try and go for the fastest lap next lap now. So getting on the DRS zone, not wasting any time, go back into the setting the fastest lap of the race, and now let's see how fast we can go. So going into this turn one, really trying to take both these curbs as much aggression as possible. Use a bit of ERS on the exit, and you can see the gap is already up to 7/10 of a second. Really cutting this corner as much as you possibly can. Want to try and keep it flat out. Go through into these corners. Tiny lift, and then turn it nice and early for this one. But then on the exit, it's a 3-second time penalty, which certainly was not in the plan. So now we've got to push even extra hard. And I'm actually not going to push fully on this up because I need to save ERS for the last 2 laps. Just in case they decide to really push it with the ERS, which quite often in the last lap of the race, the AI try and save all their ERS for, and they go about a second a lap quicker. So I was a little bit mindful of that. So we're not going to use all of our ERS on this lap here. As you can see, we're not using it going down into the final corner. So we've got 2 laps of this race to go. 2.1 seconds the gap is. So it is looking quite comfortable at this stage here, and still not using it on the exit of the final corner. And going across the line, this is actually going to be a 28.6, which I think it could have been a very, very low 28 if we did it properly. So really navigating these first 2 corners pretty aggressively this time, and the gap is up to 2.7 seconds. So unless we get a 6-second time penalty, or there's just an asteroid that lands on the track, or something similar that happened to Red Bull at Bahrain, I think it's going to be quite comfortable. And you can see the gap is already up to 3 seconds. So we're just going to try and save our ERS for the last lap, just to see how fast we can go without using the DRS. And overall, as we actually get another warning, so 2 more of those, and it will be a 6-second time penalty, which then would make things pretty interesting. But yeah, overall, I didn't really find the AI too difficult in that sense. I think on other games, I think on tracks such as Suzuka in the past, I think on like 2019 or 2020, Suzuka was just ridiculously hard. I think Zandvoort in this game is extremely hard. I think that's the only other one I might have attempted previously. But yeah, compared to other attempts I've done in the past, this wasn't really too bad. Maybe because it's just a particularly good track for myself, but yeah, there certainly have been much, much harder ones where the AI have been, you literally have to almost do a perfect run in order to beat the AI, even if you're not going from a last to first. So yeah, so we're just going to try and push this last up now with the ERS. Didn't have DRS for the start of this lap, obviously, so we're a little bit lacking in the first sector, but let's see how much closer we can get in the last 2 sectors. But the tyres are slowly starting to go off, and the gap has gone up to 5.3 seconds. So even if we got a 6-second penalty, we might have actually been fine regardless. Doing up right left very, very nicely. I think on our previous one, the fastest lap, we actually went a bit wide there to go through in this middle sector. We actually gained a bit of time, so that's a purple middle sector really taking us at absolute speed. And I think the cars this weekend for the real life F1 much prefer high-speed circuits compared to the lower speed circuits. So going around the last corner now, we managed to do it quite nicely in the end. After a few frustrations at the start, managed to do a last to first with Charles Leclerc. Is Charles Leclerc going to win again this weekend? Please let me know. I have a feeling it's going to be a Red Bull driver. He will be winning. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, and I will be catching you very, very soon. Peace.